Well, now we're down to just 2 weeks left of the 2016 NFL season. So now it's time for my Week 16 picks. And before I begin, I want all to know, since next week's games are all on Sunday, my picks will be on New Year's Eve instead, which is Saturday. So you're going to have to wait an extra 2 days for my picks then. So anyways, last week I went 10-6. So 4 straight winning weeks, but I went downhill from 11-5 just a week before. And my overall now, I sit at 600, so it's kind of disappointing I felt backwards a little bit, even though I got another win season. And then we get to the playoff picture right now, so it's hard to believe, because last year we had like 7, 8 teams, I believe, in the playoffs right now at this point. But this year we only have 4 at the moment. And anyways, it's the Patriots and Raiders with the byes, and then the Dolphins going to the Steelers, and the Chiefs going to the Texans. And the NFC side, it's the Cowboys and Seahawks with the byes, with the Buccaneers going to the Falcons and the Giants going to the Lions. And my playoff picks in the AFC, Steelers beat the Dolphins, which sets them up at the Raiders. The Chiefs beat the Texans, which sets them up at the Patriots. The Patriots beat the Chiefs. The Steelers beat the Raiders. And the AFC Championship, the Patriots will beat the Steelers. And the NFC side, the Falcons beat the Buccaneers, which sets them up at the Seahawks. The Giants beat the Lions, which sets them up at the Cowboys. The Giants beat the Cowboys. The Seahawks beat the Falcons. And then the Seahawks beat the Giants in the NFC Championship. And now the Super Bowl would be the Patriots beating the Seahawks. So now let's get to my Week 16 picks. And we start off tonight with Thursday night, and that's the Giants going to the Eagles. And the Giants will clinch a playoff spot if they win and get their, since 2011, and get their first 11-win season since 2008. It's been that long. And of course, the Eagles right behind the 49ers and Browns have like one of the longest losing streaks in the league now, 5 in a row. And Carson Wentz unfortunately has shit the bed recently, but still overall he probably will be a franchise QB. But another thing that's also going to help the Eagles to possibly beat the Giants tonight is history. The last 2 years, they've had a pretty good history against the Giants the last so far this decade. And they've beaten the Giants in dominant fashion last 2 years. Remember, Sunday night 2014, the Eagles won 27-0, and then Monday night last year they won 27-7. So the history is looking good for them. And since when they played earlier this year, it went like right down to the wire, I think the Eagles can pull off the upset and 27-10, and that would officially give the Cowboys the first round bye and home field advantage. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants somehow pull it off, because they've done that too this decade. And then we get to Saturday, since Christmas is on Sunday, so they got to put all the games on Christmas Eve instead, starting with the Dolphins going to the Bills. And the Bills will be eliminated if they lose to the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, if they win and the Ravens and Broncos lose, the Dolphins will be in the playoffs for the first time since 2008. It's quite an impressive turnaround they had. And Adam Gase has finally gotten that offense going. That defense is still just, so they got a lot of work to do on that. But there's one major problem, and that's the Bills. Since historically, the last bunch of years, the Bills have destroyed the Dolphins when they go to Buffalo. The Dolphins have not won in Buffalo since I think 2011. And the last 3 years they've gone there, they've not only lost, they've been manhandled, they've been destroyed, they've been embarrassed. And I'm sure that's going to happen this week too, as the Bills would win 33-17. But seeing how well the Dolphins handled the Bills in Miami too, I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow pull off against the Bills too. The Bills gotta do is just use that terrible Dolphins run and rush defense to their advantage. And then it's the Falcons going to the Panthers. And of course, the Falcons can clinch a playoff spot, and the NFC South if they win and the Buccaneers lose. And I'm sure they can clinch a playoff spot with different other scenarios happen too. And the Panthers would be eliminated too if they lose, which is quite an impressive fall from the Super Bowl runner-up last year. When was the last time a Super Bowl loser not only missed the playoffs, but had a losing record? Oh my god, it's been a long time that I don't even remember off the top of my head. Plus, how much of a mighty fall that was from a 15-1 season the year before. This is the worst season for a team after they just went 15-1 or 16-0 the previous year. And of course, the Falcons destroyed the 49ers as expected last week. The Panthers surprisingly spanked the Redskins pretty good. So the Panthers, surprisingly, like I said, still in the playoff contention. Although if they lose to the Falcons, they're eliminated. But historically, the last time the Falcons beat the Panthers in Carolina, that was 2014. But historically, the last bunch of years, the Panthers have had the Falcons number when they play in Charlotte. So even though the Falcons, Panthers still have that terrible run defense. They have run defense, the worst pass defense in the league. That's the only way the Falcons have any shot to beat them, with that terrible defense in the air. But of course, the Falcons also have a terrible pass defense too, just like the entire NFC South, that the Panthers can take advantage of. And that's why I think the Panthers will win 31-28. And then it's the Redskins going to the Bears. And of course, the Redskins win. They'll get their first back-to-back win season since 1991-1992. Jeez, it's been a long time. And of course, that was a very disastrous loss for them to lose to the Panthers. Oh, they blew it hard. They had a perfect opportunity to get them close to the playoffs, but now they really hurt their chances now. But I think they'll be able to win 22-13 to get them that first win season, although getting that playoff spot is going to be really difficult now. And then it's the Chargers going to the Browns for first time since I think 2012. And of course, the Browns just 2 losses away from joining the 2008 Lions. Although, if I look at their stats, offensively they're probably not as good, although they're more reliable probably than the Lions. But their defense is nowhere near as bad as the Lions were. The Lions in 2008 had like one of the worst defenses of all time that year. But of course, one thing that the Chargers got to worry about is not only the desperation that the Browns are trying just to win, but historically the Browns have done a pretty good job against the Chargers when they host them. Matter of fact, I think they've won. Well, last time the Chargers went to the Browns in 2012, the Browns actually won that game, and that was the first win the Browns had that year. So there's a trend of this happening, that they've gotten their first win over the Chargers. And of course, I think they've done an also pretty good history against the Chargers the last decade or so. So although I think the Chargers would win 35-10, don't be surprised if the Bills somehow pull off the upset. And remember, like I said last week, when it comes down to this point of the year, when teams are 14-0 or 0-14, it finally collapses. They're going to get their first loss, or they're finally going to pull through and get their first win. So you got to expect that too. And it's the Vikings going to the Packers. And Vikings would be eliminated if they lose to the Packers this week. And of course, if the Packers win and the Lions lose, then the Packers will take over the lead in the NFC North. And I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, the Packers have now won 4 in a row. They finally look hot again after that terrible start for pretty much the entire year. And the Vikings, how they might have fallen. Remember that 5-0 start? Now they've gone 2-7 the rest of the way. They are definitely a shitfest now, mainly because of the injuries. I would think they would probably be a playoff contender next year, but after all these injuries this year, they were just not that contender this year. They just got off to a hot start, and that was it. And I think the Packers will finally put the nail in the back of the Vikings, 34-10. And then it's the Titans going to the Jaguars. Titans still need, if they win, they'll get their first win season since 2011, along with possibly being taken over in the lead in the AFC South if they win and the Texans lose. But the odds of the Titans win, getting the playoffs, not getting the playoffs, the AFC South is going to be quite difficult since they have a very terrible divisional record compared to the Texans. Texans are still undefeated, I believe, in the AFC South. So that's going to be a major factor if they tie. And of course, this is the first game after Gus Bradley got fired, which needed to happen. But like I said with the Rams when they fired Jeff Fisher last week, if you're going to fire a coach, why not fire him in the middle of the season or something like that, where it could maybe be a change? Make a possibility of making the team better or something like that. But at this point, you should have just kept him, Gus Bradley as the coach, and then fire him after the last game. What's the fucking point of doing all that shit, man? Because then you're gonna probably fire the Doug Marrone was, so he's had head coaching experience too. And he had some solid experience with the Bills, so maybe keep him. But after just 2 games, that's not really a good indicator of how well a team's gonna be. But the one good thing about the Jaguars is they have not lost to the Titans at home since I think 2013, but they've overall had a very, very, very dominant history over the Titans when they host them the last decade or so. So I think the Titans will finally get their first win since October 27-22. By the way, if the Texans do win and the Titans lose to the Jaguars, I think the Texans will clinch the AFC South. So next up is the Jets going to the Patriots. And, well, actually, before I say anything else, the Patriots can clinch first round, home field advantage if they win. They also still might clinch it even if they lose, as long as the Raiders and Chiefs lose. But I'm not quite so sure about that. But win, and the playoffs, AFC side of the playoffs, will have to go through Foxborough to get to the Super Bowl 51. And of course, I mean, historically, the last couple years, even though the Jets have been terrible, they've actually been pretty decent against the Patriots when they go there. I mean, last time the Jets have been destroyed by the Patriots in Foxborough was 2010. And pretty much every game since then, I think, was within a touchdown or something like that. So even though the Jets have been terrible and the Patriots have been dominant, the Jets have been very competitive when they go to Foxborough. But even if that's the case, I don't think the Jets are going to win. The Patriots will win 31-14 and clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Then we get to the 4 p.m. games as the Colts go to the Raiders for the first time since 2010. Oh boy, I remember that game last time when Peyton did that incredible, very long run to seal the deal. By the way, funny fact, the last time the Colts went to the Raiders in 2010, that was also Week 16. So it's quite funny how it Week 16 again this year. And of course, congratulations for the Raiders for finally getting their first playoff appearance since 2002. First time in my lifetime watching the NFL, I'm going to see them in the playoffs in a couple weeks. And they also finally are no longer tied with the Browns with the second longest drought in the league. So the Browns now have the second longest drought solely in their possession, with the Bills still being number 1. And of course, the only way the Colts are going to beat the Raiders if they challenge that terrible defense of the Raiders. But, oh boy, I mean, Andrew Luck and the Colts have been very inconsistent. But then again, they've also been pretty good against teams that are supposedly good when they go to them. I mean, they fucking destroyed the Vikings last week, and they put their number against the Packers during the season too. They've done a pretty good job against teams when they had to go to them. So I think they'll be competitive, but I still think the Raiders would win 34-31. And of course, if they do win and the Chiefs lose, the Raiders will not only clinch the AFC West for the first time since 2002, they'll clinch first round bye for the first time since 2002. And still possibly be in contention for first home field advantage too. And it's the 49ers going to the Rams, which is quite funny since ever since the 49ers destroyed the Rams on their first Monday night game, they've gone 13 straight losing games. I think it's probably the longest losing streak for the 49ers ever, as they enjoy challenging the Browns for possibly the number 1 overall pick. And of course, the Rams, I think they've lost 5 in a row now, too. Man, what a fall they've had after that 3-1 start, too. But historically, the Rams have done a pretty good job against the 49ers when they host them. Well, not in terms of winning, but at least being very competitive, although they did destroy them last year. And I think that'll be the case this year as the Rams beat the 49ers 31-3. Get to the other game that was flexed, the only game that was flexed this week. And how about these two were flexed in both games, and that's the Buccaneers going to the Saints. And, of course, the Saints would be eliminated if they lose. And I found out earlier the Buccaneers can clinch a playoff spot for the first time since 2007 if they win and a couple other scenarios happen. I'm not quite sure exactly what they were off the top of my head, but that is still a possibility for them to clinch a playoff spot this week, so let everyone know about that. And, of course, Buccaneers have actually had their number against the Saints the last couple years. They beat them there last year, and remember 2 years ago when the Buccaneers had that 2-14 finish, they actually went into New Orleans and went out in overtime, and the Saints won it, but the Buccaneers went all the way down to overtime, so they were very competitive in that one. And what's really weird about when the Buccaneers go to the Saints, since 2010, it's been I think it's been split between the two, with the Buccaneers somehow pulling off upset after upset, but then there are the years that the Saints absolutely destroy them. So it's really kind of difficult what to say. I mean, the Buccaneers can win second year in a row, but the Saints could also win again, which I think would probably be the case this year, 37-34. And it's quite funny, too, to see possibly Drew Brees for the 4th time, I believe, in his career, and for the first time since 2013, someone rushed me throw for over 5,000 yards. It's quite funny how that was so common, 3 straight years of someone throwing for 5,000 yards, but now it's going to be possibly for the first time in 3 years, depending on how Brees does these last couple weeks. And then it's the Cardinals going to the Seahawks, And of course, the Seahawks can, I think, clinch first round bye if they win, and the Falcons, Buccaneers. Well, actually, no, if they win, the worst they can go is 10-5-1. So if they win and the Falcons and Lions lose, then they clinch first round bye for the first time since 2014. So they really need to win this one. And of course, I mean, they've historically done pretty good against the Cardinals this last bunch of years. Although you gotta remember, these two always go back and forth between the two. I mean, the Cardinals since 2013 are 2-1 against the Seahawks when they go to CenturyLink Field. And I mean, they did a pretty good number against them last year. Remember that Sunday night game? I think the Seahawks still would win 28-14, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals make it very competitive and somehow pull it off. When we get to the Thursday night game, literally on Christmas Eve, which I think is the first time that the games were put on Christmas Eve that they had a night game too, and it makes sense they didn't have that last time in 2011. And that's the Bengals going to the Texans for the first time since 2014. And of course, like I said earlier, I think the Texans will clinch the a playoff spot in the AFC South if they win and the Titans lose, I believe, since they already got the tiebreaker over the Colts since they swept them. And of course, they still got to play the Titans, but if the Titans lose, I think the Titans would have like a 1-4 division record, whereas the Texans are 5-0 right now, so that would be pretty much unbeatable. So of course, that's right. They benched Brock Osweiler finally, put Todd Savage in. I mean, yeah, it's probably better since he played much better than Osweiler ever did pretty much this year. But man, I still think they probably should just go get maybe a QB somewhere in the draft next year. But of course, although the Bengals had their number last time they went to the Texans in 2014. I mean, this is the first time the Bengals been to the Texans. They've only been to the Texans like 3 times in the last since the Texans first appeared in 2002, and the Bengals have not won in Houston since 2002, I believe. That was one of their 2 wins that year too. So history. Actually, no, the Bengals won in 2014, so my bad. So there's not really much history to say, but since the Bengals are so shitty this year, and the Texans have somehow, someway managed to be competitive this year despite all the injuries and the terrible offensive performance, I think the Texans would win 27-21. And of course, since I predict the Titans would lose to Jaguars earlier this year, I think that would pretty much give the Texans the AFC South. But of course, the Bengals maybe would be surprising us and somehow pull it off, but still say the Texans. And then we get to the Christmas games, and this year we have 2 games this year, and they're both very important as we get to the final Thursday night game of the year, and that's the Ravens going to the Steelers. And if the Steelers win, they clinch the AFC North in the playoff spot, and if the Ravens lose and the Dolphins win, then the Ravens are eliminated. Which, holy shit, it's been the last time the Ravens, I think, missed the playoffs 2 years in a row was 2004, 2005. So that would have been quite something. Although it's nice to see them turned around at least to 8-8 at the worst, because they definitely look a lot better this year. And of course, it's nice to also see this rivalry back after that missing opportunity last year, since this rivalry means so much to me. It's living in Ravens country. And of course, the Steelers, I think, would win 27-21, but the Ravens have been very competitive against the Steelers the last, of course, pretty much the entire decade or so since they've gone to the Steelers. And I think overall, since 2010, I think the Ravens actually have a winning record over the Steelers when they've gone to Heinz Field. They've won there last year, but that was more because Big Ben wasn't playing and necessarily because the Ravens were good. And of course, Ravens have won, I think the Ravens have won 4 in a row now, including that playoff win they did against the Steelers in 2014. But of course, the Steelers look hot right now. Their offense is definitely looking good. And that defense looks complete, too, now all of a sudden. They look like one of the most complete teams in the league, minus their record. So I think the Steelers would, like I said earlier, will win 27-21. We get to that Sunday night game, and that's the Broncos going to the Chiefs. The Chiefs can clinch a playoff spot if they win. And if the Broncos lose, and I don't know if the Dolphins have a tiebreaker, but definitely if the Dolphins win, then the Broncos would be officially eliminated from the playoffs, which would make the first Super Bowl team to miss the playoffs since the 2013 Ravens, which is kind of surprising because the Broncos, I still think, are overall playing better than they did last year. That offense is certainly much better than last year. My God, that offense was terrible. But of course, they've had a difficult schedule to end the year. I mean, they've had like they had to go to the Titans. That was a tough one. They had to go host the Patriots. That one they had to blow. And of course, I think they'll lose to the Chiefs this year, 31-2014. But then again, remember, that went right down to the wire last year, including that fumble that the Broncos recovered to seal the deal for the touchdown. So, I mean, the Broncos could win. I mean, they've historically have not lost to the Titans since, I think, 2010 or something like that. So, I mean, they haven't lost to the Titans. They haven't lost to Chiefs and Arrowhead since, I think, 2010 or something like that. So the history is in the Broncos' favor, but right now I don't think that's going to be the case, and I think the Chiefs would win. And then we get to the final Monday night game of the year, and man, if only the Lions won last week, that way this game can have extreme significance, but it's still going to have significance, but not as much, and that's the Lions going to the Cowboys for the first time since 2011. Remember that wild comeback that the Lions had in that game? And of course, their first matchup since that 2014 wild card game that the Lions blew. And of course, if the Cowboys win or the Giants lose to the Eagles tonight, the Cowboys will clinch not first round the NFC East for the first time since 2014. First round bye, first time since 2007, and home field advantage for the first time since 2007. And of course, if the Lions win and the Packers lose, they'll clinch a playoff spot for the first time since 2014, and the NFC North for the first time since 1993. I was only 2 months old when the Lions last won a division title. And if they win, and even if the Packers win too, the Lions still might get a playoff spot depending on tiebreakers, so you got to watch out for that too. But of course, oh boy. I mean, they're actually kind of balanced. Well, not balanced, but kind of even matchup-wise. The only thing the Lions would probably have to worry about is not their good secondary that maybe Dak Prescott could run over. And, of course, you got not trust Matthew Stafford either. He's going to be a big concern for this game. But overall, I think the Cowboys would win at 28-20. So even if the Giants somehow beat the Eagles tonight, the Cowboys would still clinch first round. I mean, everything if they beat the Lions on Monday night. All right, those are my picks for Week 16. I can't wait for Giants and Eagles tonight. And I can't wait for all the games this week, especially those night games too. And of course, remember, like I said, last week, next week's going to be on Saturday, New Year's Eve, instead of the usual Thursday, since all the games are going to be on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to predicting what the last Sunday night game of the year is going to be flexed in. I got a feeling it's going to be the Packers at Lions. Leave in the comments what you think it's going to be. So let's enjoy Week 16.